So a flat swing plane doesn't exist. If you're trying to keep your arm moving on a horizontal flat swing plane, there has to be rotation of the arm in the shoulder socket. That is the only way to actually have any kind of release. But it's kind of weird trying to throw on this horizontal swing plane. It's much more efficient to use a pendulum, and this is where the reciprocating dingle arm comes in, and you're just letting gravity accelerate, and then you boost that with your center of gravity and whip it through. So you should feel this big burst of inertia pulling you through. Your hand is pulling you around, and you're letting your body go so that your hand has space to finish. Boom. So I'm not trying to spin the rear side into the plant. The rear side is only making a linear move into the plant. And a lot of players are trying to use the left arm and rotate back in the backswing, which is totally counterproductive, because if you're sending your body around this way, you're actually already starting your hips forward to do that. Right? If you're on ice, you would just spin everything instead of actually rotating. So you want to bring your rear side forward into the plant so that you're braced and you're braced against that burst of inertia that's going to pull you into the finish, pivot you out. Boom. That's what you see like Ricky Wysocki, that high five finish. And you'll see Kevin Jones do that.
Kevin showing his technique. He has really good technique, and he's really powerful.
It doesn't look like he's throwing that hard.
It doesn't.
And then it comes out real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Double G, David Wiggins. They get that high finish. So a lot of players are trying to pull down, and the elbow is coming down like this. A lot of people think that's like starting the lawnmower, but I don't really think of it like that, because if I'm starting a lawnmower, I'm going to use my whole body to start it, and then it's like it breaks and just releases. Boom. So I'm breaking that string off. Boom. That's how you'll see kids start it when they finally get their weight into it. This is what the door frame drill is, and crush the can is bringing everything forward. And it's going to be a pendulum, make that efficient, and the arm's going to rotate around. So if you just make a big circle around your center like you're throwing like a baseball, it's just the same thing, but you're just coming around the other side. Boom. So people get confused. So I'm rotating the disc flat through the hip. I can come in, I can keep the disc flat in the backswing and supinate, which you pretty much have to do if you want to throw a pure hyzer, and you're going to end up pronating, coming down, and then you're going to release and supinate and externally rotate. So the disc is still coming through flat, but then you release and turn over. So the rest of the body is really articulating around the disc rather than my rotation turning the disc. It's just like using a hammer. So if you just want to hammer down on something, you're not going to use flexion or extension of the wrist or arm. You're just going to bam, and your arm's going to turn, and your whole body's going to turn out of the way. If you really want to give a big wallop, you're going to turn your head and body out of the way to let that drop and pound. Whew, and turn over in the finish. So if you actually hit the nail, it's not going to turn over because it's that energy being absorbed by the nail and going to the nail. If you release through, it's got to turn. So that you don't hurt yourself and you can effortlessly perpetuate this motion. If you try to keep your head still doing this, you're going to have no whip or not nearly as much pound. So the same thing on a horizontal plane, or if I want to hammer something out this way, I'm going to change my tilt. So I'm not trying to hammer on this flat plane that doesn't exist. I'm tilting and making a pendulum. That's really efficient to really pound right through. So my focus is on the nose of the disc coming through flat, and the arm is going to rotate naturally through. So just let your arm go and feel that big burst of inertia. Slow, and then it goes fast. Boom. The same thing with a golf club or a bat. You don't try to swing the bat with flexion, extension, or curling of the wrist. You're turning over back and forth. It's way more efficient and you get a big whip. And you can keep the club on face with that rotation rather than trying to swing the club head around. You're just trying to hit it through. Boom. So you can turn much faster with the club head by rotating your whole arm with pronation and supination and internal and external rotation of the shoulder. So it's not abduction and adduction or flexion extension. There's a big rotation that has to happen. So it's like a hammer throw where they start and they're getting their center going to then go, and then they have to stop rotating to let the rest of the body and torso rotate through. And the rear foot is not rotating through, it's being blocked by the front side so that you can whip that inertia out there, but you're going to get pulled through by the momentum of the swing. That's why you see the rear arm curl, come around curled. It's not trying to bring the rear arm around any kind of way like that. So like with punching, you're going to start with your knuckles vertical and punch. You're going to rotate your whole body into that, but it's not bringing the foot through. It's sending the torso and all your weight forward into the hand, and it's just extension. It's not really trying to rotate all the way. You just want to release neutral. And putting your joints all in a powerful position. Whereas if you're trying to punch, keeping your hand horizontal like this, you're going to have no power, and you're going to put your joints in a weird position that's not going to be very stable. So you want to get that rotation. Boom, that whip. Right, this has got not much substance behind it. Same thing with like throwing football. If you're trying to throw off your back leg, you have to use a lot of your power. You have to have a big arm or a lot of arm strength, body strength to do that. You want to shift forward, moving your center forward to then swing the whip through, bring the train of momentum forward. Same thing with backhand, is you're going to move your center forward, which brings everything else forward with it. And then everything just continues forward after you stop your center of gravity and release everything through. It's a big twirl, like a battering ram, like James Conrad. He's using his whole body weight, extending the torso through. So you don't even need a disc with this one. You just make that whip bigger. You're going to turn your head, use your center of gravity to whip it. Whew. High finish. A lot of players are trying to pull down or pull flat, which is gravity's going to pull everything down. Instead of you're swinging like a pendulum, everything's going to come down and up, finish upward. And this is why a lot of players throw it to the ground and release nose up or nose bounce everything. Because they're trying to pull and rotate from the rear side, collapsing the front side. You're going to shift forward and extend up. You don't want to jump up. You want to be smooth. You don't want to be jerky. You got to move everything smooth to get that speed. Whew. So if you do it with a disc. Whew. Feel that thumb pushing all that weight of the disc, because all that inertia is coming against the thumb as you're swinging on a pendulum, and then just releases out. This is why I can throw with a fan grip, because all that inertia is against the thumb. I'm not pulling with the fingers at all. I'm not trying to curl the wrist or anything. I'm just pushing with the thumb, just like the hammer.